It's FDR's 135th birthday today. I'm going to, throughout the 3 hours, share little bits of one of FDR's fireside speeches from 1940, his fireside chats, actually, he called them, with you. And I think it's really important because in some ways he was absolutely prescient. Jana Tan Zunger wrote a fascinating piece that's kind of gone viral. It's over at medium.com titled Trial Balloon for a Coup. And he's asking the question, and frankly, I think a lot of people are asking the question, what the hell's going on in this administration and in the executive branch where, it's like the chairman of the Joint Chiefs and the National Security Advisor have been taken out of the National Security Council and replaced by Steve Bannon. It's just like strange stuff going on. And in fact, I can just quickly go through some of this. CNN has a heavily detailed story noting that the Department of Homeland Security's lawyers actually objected to this Muslim ban order, specifically its exclusion of green card holders, as illegal. And they also pressed for there to be a grace period so that people currently out of the country wouldn't be stranded. They were personally overruled by Bannon and Steve Miller. Now, who's Steve Miller? Steve Miller is a guy who in 2002 was the Santa Monica High School writing articles and talking on right-wing talk radio about how Osama bin Laden would be welcome at Santa Monica High School. He went on to become, a right-wing pundit, a right-wing political operative. He worked for Jeff Sessions, and now he's working for Jeff Sessions and for Donald Trump. He's in his 20s, I believe. Notable in this. Oh, I just read that. Also notable is that career DHS staff, up to and including the head of Customs and Border Control, were kept entirely out of the loop until the order was signed. The Guardian is reporting that mass resignations of nearly all senior staff at the State Department on Thursday were not, in fact, resignations, but a purge ordered by the White House. This leaves almost nobody in the entire senior staff of the State Department at this point during these first critical weeks when orders like this Muslim ban are coming down. And on Inauguration Day, Trump apparently filed his candidacy for 2020, opening the ability for him to start accepting campaign contributions right away. His campaign in the past has moved a lot of money out of the campaign and into Trump properties. For example, there were reports on the day of the inauguration that the inaugural balls here in Washington, D.C. were catered by the Trump International Hotel. In other words, people give money to the Trump campaign. The campaign gives money to the Trump Hotel. And the Trump Hotel, of course, gives money to the Trumps. So, I mean, this is so the opposite of FDR talking, for example, about war millionaires. This is FDR from his 1940 fireside chat. And just before we came into World War II.
Our present emergency and a common sense of decency make it imperative that no new group of war millionaires shall come into being in this nation as a result of the struggles abroad. The American people will not relish the idea of any American citizen growing rich and fat in an emergency of blood and slaughter and human suffering.
Unfortunately, growing rich and fat is exactly what's going on in Washington, D.C. FDR continues.
Today's threat to our national security is not a matter of military weapons alone. We know of other methods, new methods of attack.
Okay, and I think those are being turned against us right now. So what did FDR say in May of 1940 in his fireside speech?
There is an added technique for weakening a nation at its very roots, for disrupting the entire pattern of life of a people. And it's important that we understand it. The method is simple.
Now, keep in mind, when he was saying this, the Klan was organized and organizing. There was the America First movement, which was arguing against letting Jewish refugees from Germany into the United States. This was 1940. We were not yet in World War II, but, we were getting ready. Hitler had invaded Poland in 1939. That's part of the present emergency he's talking about. So how is it that countries get undermined from within?
First, discord. The dissemination of discord. A group not too large, a group that may be sectional or racial or political, is encouraged to exploit its prejudices through false slogans and emotional appeals. The aim of those who deliberately egg on these groups is to create confusion of counsel, public indecision, political paralysis, and eventually a state of panic.
There you go. And I would say that that's exactly what's going on right now. And in fact, one of the notes that what's his name, Yonatan Zunger made, he says, I see a few key patterns here. He says the first is to block, in the decision to block and then allow the green card holders in. He said this was meant to create chaos and pull out the opposition. The goal is to create resistance fatigue, to get Americans to the point where they're more likely to say, oh, another protest, don't you guys ever stop, relatively quickly. Also note, he said, note also the most frightening escalation last night was that the DHS made it fairly clear that they did not feel bound to obey any court orders. And this is truly troubling, that the court orders, very specific court orders to allow these people coming into the United States who've been through extensive multi-year vetting processes, to allow them to come into the United States, was being ignored by the Department of Homeland Security, by the airports, and apparently still is. Apparently some people are still, locked up and unable to get to their lawyers, among other things. So are we looking at basically, a coup? I mean, when you've got the executive branch of government saying we are going to ignore the judiciary, the third branch, you get the second branch saying we're going to ignore the third branch, and they've got a completely compliant Congress. So, Paul Ryan comes out and goes, oh, yeah, there's a Muslim ban. It's just fine with me. They don't call it that, obviously, but that's what Trump called it during the campaign. And Rudy Giuliani at least went on TV and said, yeah, he said, I want a Muslim ban that's legal. Well, here's how you do it legally. You ban people from 7 Muslim countries, make sure that it's none of the countries with whom you do business. One of the top stories on the front page of the New York Times today, by the way. None of these countries have any business to do with the Trump Organization. Many other countries in the Middle East do. So you ban people from these countries, and then you say, but religious minorities we'll give an exception to. Well, these are majority Muslim countries, so you have, a de facto Muslim ban. So, the question, I guess, is, are we looking at something that resembles, a coup, this fast-moving thing like happened in I think it was around 1918, 1919, as I'm recalling, when Mussolini rose to power in Italy. And this is, these very rapid bang, bang, bang. I mean, this is the stuff from Milton Mayer that I was reading last week. Just outrage after outrage after outrage so fast that people are like, whoa, what's going on? Oh, I can't even process the last one before we're on to the next one. And therefore, none of them ever get stopped.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
This is, in my opinion, fundamentally antithetical to the core values of the United States of America.